Hello and welcome back to Series 2 of King of the Meme. This is game 2 between Yabo, the current king, and Finzent, the challenger. Let's hop right into it. We see here the deck of Mr. Yabo. It is Panzer, a fairly similar deck to the deck he just played in the first game, the 12SS that is, but with some little differences, of course. We can see the map bands and the map and the division bands in the top right. We see Yabo opted to ban the 3rd Guards Tanker, the 3rd US, 17th SS, 2nd Guards Tanker and 10th Guards Tanker, while Finzent banned the 21st Panzer, 20th Panzer, 3rd Guards Mechanized, 12th SS and Blindata. Let's have a look at the memes. We see the much liked BMW Recon motorcycle. We see once more the Panzergren Führer with a Panzerfaust, which leads to the reduced availability in the leader, and we see it once more being brought in on an interesting transport. Now we of course have an all-time favorite of all the Steel Division players out there in the deck, which is the Bogward, and we shall see if it is being used in this map, in this game. Other than that, we have an artillery piece. I think this is one of the worst artillery pieces in the game from what I've been told. And then we have a Recon Focke-Wulf 190. Now I'm really interested to see what that will bring out. I mean, the Focke-Wulf 190 in general, a fantastic plane, especially if it's this. Here right next to it, we have the Focke-Wulf 190A8 fighter, an extremely good fighter. But we will see how this turns out. We will see. Let's have a look at the rest of the deck as well. A lot of Recon cars in A, or actually only one in A, one in B, and then he has 2 double-vetted Puma cards in C phase. That's really... I've never seen that before. Let's see how that works out. It confuses me a little bit because his infantry tab is clearly made for a short game. There's no C-phase card. There's veterancy on all the infantry units. So double C-phase card of Puma, C-phase card of Panther, and the strong availability Focke-Wulf fighter bomber with the rocket load here all make me think, actually also a C-phase card of Jagdpanzers, makes me think that he would like to go for a long game, that he is ready for a long grind game. But no infantry card at all in C. Also double veterancy on the B-phase card on the MG42. Interesting. Also 2 B-phase leaders actually. Very interesting deck here by Yabo. And if you're wondering why this Panzervernichtungs has a single veterancy, it is so that the Panzerschreck goes up to 100% accuracy. It will always hit. Other than that, I'm a little bit surprised to not see 2 cards of like 41 here. But that's, let's hop to the next game, to the next deck. This is a very, I would say, standard deck in many ways. Obviously the memes disrupted a little bit, but it's a pretty good standard variation German Panzer deck. And we see Finzent once more opted for the 2nd Blind Day. Now we have some different memes this time around. We have the Nueve, we have the same leader card here of the Stewards, we have the OBC M8, and we have the same flag card again, and the PJ38 fighter this time. Other than that, let's see what the changes are in the deck. I'm still confused by this commander. If you don't bring any leaders, why would you bring the commander? Again, probably to upvet this AA, but I'm not so sure about that. We have the same setup in the AT tab. This looks very similar, other than that there's no veterancy on the Sherman, and he's brought an M8 this time. A Scout Steward. Interesting choice. The Nueve, of course, forced on him as a meme. Some people really like them, always get them. Some people are like, well, you know, in Blind Day you already are a bit short on infantry, so maybe you don't want to take the infantry card that only has 4 availability, right? The OVC is a popular choice among many people as well. It's only 25 points. It gives you an armored unit that will help out in infantry fights. And then we see a little bit of awkwardness here again, because this time he brings the off-map plane without being forced to. Very interesting choice. And he's also reorganized his air tab to bring one of the infamous DB-73 bombers. But no PJ-38 bomber with the high bomb load, which you usually want to get against the big German Panzer decks, probably because he has been forced to take this fighter. Alright, let's hop into the game. Alright, here we go. This is game 2 of the 2nd series of King of the Meme. We see the challenger Finzent on the left side with the 2nd Blind Day, and Yabo on the right side with the Panzer Lair, one of my personal favorite decks. Let's see what he will do with it, and let's see. Oh, here we already see in the starting deployment 1 Bogward 4. Now, if you're new to Steel Division, you might not know about this very special unit, but it is a suicide unit that will explode on command and take the enemies with him, hopefully. Bogward, very, very nice to see it right in the beginning of the game. And that makes, I think that makes quite some sense here on the opening, here on the top road, right in the opening, because on this map we often see both players invest heavily into their respective side of this little hill, see an early fight, an early exchange, an early trade of tanks, and in the end one of the other side wins, and they basically control this upper ridge afterwards, and that gives them a very commanding position. So bringing in the Bogward will either divert very precious fire away from his Panther. Did I see a Panther? Yes, away from his Panther, his SPWs, or it will get close enough and get that explosion value in. Let's quickly look at the rest of the deployment. We see a Panther also in the center. These flamers will probably head to the enemy hill, yes, and a fairly standard city deployment. No tanks, but a bunch of Panzervernichtungs are heading there. Let's look at Finzent's side. He brought also a big amount of armor into the upper ground, a bunch of flamers and infantry, and the city also filled with purely infantry. We see a Sherman as well to solidify this hill. Often assaults occur here very early on from the blue side, but what I really want to check out is what will this Bogward do. Oh no, he's not bringing it to here, he's bringing it up to the hill, because on this hill we often see an early fight where red assaults the hill and wants to take it from the blue side, but with the Bogward here, he might just blow the entire deployment up there. What is this? Where's Finzent? Finzent is actually rushing the blue side really, really hard, and the Panther is not there in time. The M8s push through together with the Flamers and the Bazooka. Very aggressive movement here right off the bat by Finzent. Very nice play. Very nice play to abuse the speed of his M8s like that, rushing forward, and now he could even bring them up onto the hill and potentially get side shots onto this Panther as they fight the Shermans. But he has decided to completely neglect this spot on the hill. He's bringing in the Shermans from the side, he's bringing them up on the hill. And these SPWs are catching the M8s off guard a little bit. Well, the M8 should win that actually against the autocannon SPW at a distance. That's not even a challenge. SPW here has already been wiped out. MG in a peculiar position here. Panther in a defensive position to hold any weird things. Come in over here and also project power down into the town. In the town we see fairly standard deployment right now. I would say this deployment favors Yabo in the town, but he's already down 16-8 with all of these flags going to Finzent. This flag as well, that's 4 flags going to the red side. Really strong opener here by the challenger, who is looking to recover from the first game where he lost. More units are streaming into the hillside here. Bogward coming up. Can the Bogward do it? Can the Bogward do the thing? Flamers have been wiped out, and that closes the last threat to maybe getting frontline memed here for the red side. Panther coming out, facing the cannon 57mm. That didn't really have a penetration chance against the Panther anyway. Yeah, Yabo opting for the Focke-Wulf on 98 start. That's really good, that's really solid, and it forces your opponent to either get a fighter himself or get some AA out, because otherwise that Focke-Wulf on 90 will keep strafing things and keep getting value. Panther being inserted very, very aggressively now together with this Panzer IV. This is a very, very dangerous movement, because there's nothing backing them up, there's nothing spotting for them. Where's the Bogward? Oh, Bogward being kept in reserve for now. This is very dangerous play here. Yabo is playing with fire. He took out one of the Shermans here, but another one is still alive and well, and it's looking to get the side shot or even rear shot onto this Panther. Ooh, the weakness of the Panther becomes apparent. He cannot turn quick enough and it goes down. Ooh, that hurts quite a lot. That is a lot of points gone for Yabo, and it is the strongest and most reliable power projection unit in this area gone for him. Bogward still being held back. Panzervernichtung meets the voltagers. That's not what he wants. He wants his SDKFZ to meet the voltagers. Panzervernichtung actually goes down. That's another very painful loss. He's bringing in 3 double-vetted Panzer IVs into the north now to try and stabilize the situation. He has gone up to a 1311 from the 16.8 that he was on earlier because he took the town. I saw an off-map being placed down earlier, but I wanted to focus on the action on the top. So he has managed to survive the off-map pretty well and has pushed through. There's not a lot in the back for Finzent, but he's bringing in M8s, a whole swath of infantry and a Sherman tank. And there are some Panzer IVs to counter it, but there's also a dangerous bazooka lurking in the town. This mountain might be a little bit out of position, not quite where the Panzer IVs are likely to go, but still a big danger. On the flip side, we also have Panzervernichtungs on Yabo's side. He's down to 59 again since he lost this flag and this flag. A little bit of a desperate situation here because this hill looks untakeable right now. Panzer IV caught out in the open in enemy territory. Very peculiar position here, but this might cause some havoc on Vincent's side. The 3 Panzer IVs that were called in earlier are now on their way to the front line, and maybe the one fault of this position is that it doesn't really have any ranged units that can take out the Panzer IVs as they go through this open space. Some AT guns here would do wonders and probably secure this game for Vincent almost instantly. He's bringing it up, but although he will put them into the more defensive spot for now. 60mm mortar opening fire onto the Panzer IV. Panther down here is still holding the southern ridge. The AT gun takes out the Panzer IV in the back, so that cleans up the position for Vincent quite a bit. Down in the town, infantry has arrived. Sherman is arriving now as well. The M8s have gone down. Buffers in the back. Okay, yeah, so here we see the investment forced out by the Focke-Wulf 190. Very good. Vincent not letting that just run around. That is a big mistake people often do. Do not bring out any A, do not bring out a fighter, because you would probably need 2 fighters to kill that Focke-Wulf 190 reliably anyway. And then they're like, okay, well, he invested 100 something points, I'm just gonna ignore it, I'm just gonna push on the ground. But that is very dangerous, because the Focke-Wulf 190 A8 will also do substantial damage to ground units if it strafes them. Up in the north, Yabo has decided to throw his panzers into the battle on his own hill on the center of this map, and they are approaching, but there is a bazooka already waiting, and this bazooka could be used to deadly effect onto the Panzer IVs of Yabo. The AT gun actually suppresses the Panther. I did not expect that, I did not see that coming, because this AT gun obviously does not have the greatest penetration value, 115mm, while the Panther actually has 120 frontal armor. SPW is pushing through bazooka a little bit out of position, but Yabo manages to capture this flag again, stabilizes to a 1410, that's what he needs time so he can make use of his many C-phase cards, make use of his Panthers, of his Jagdpanzers that come in B phase that are so fantastic against the tank force of the Blindé. Do we see any more memes? Bogward still alive, Bogward waiting, Bogward hiding. What can he do? What can this gentleman do right here? We will have to wait to find out. Panzer IVs have now arrived at the hillside. Bazooka is being repositioned so that it can take shots at them. Down in the city, the situation has stabilized somewhat for Vincent. Yes, he has lost his flag, but it's not that big of a deal. As long as he holds this northern ridge, he will be in a commanding position in this game, and he is bringing in the value units. He's bringing in the 60mm mortar. If you bring in the 60mm mortars, if you have prolonged fights in a town, they are almost guaranteed to win you that prolonged fight, because they will suppress, they will add a little bit of damage. If you really want to, you can use them to smoke certain areas off, maybe to bring this bazooka closer, stuff like that. And the Panzer IVs actually find the Shermans in close quarter engagement, 2-on-1. 2-on-1, they get an even trade. 1 Panzer IV goes down, 1 Sherman goes down, but those 60mm mortars will be a pain to deal with if it doesn't push for them right now. This SDKFZ is actually in a good position to do so, but there is also an AT gun lurking further up on that hill. Focke-Wulf 190 coming back, Buffers now forces it back, gets suppressed, will not get the kill for sure. Focke-Wulf 190, too good for that. And one of the Panzer IVs went out to the bazooka, if I see that correctly. Up on the hillside, Finzent is looking thinner and thinner, thinner and thinner. He has used his time to solidify his tree line on his side, but really he wants to keep the enemy side. If he wants to end this game early on, then he can secure a 59, maybe even a higher tick if he can clean up the town. And Yabo, good game sense by him, good game sense. He's moving it through to get to the 60mm mortars. He's already killed one. He's maybe gonna kill the second one unless the Bofors destroys the SDKFZ before the deed is done. But very good game sense by Yabo here. He saw the 60mm mortars and immediately decided to throw in his SDKFZ. Even if it goes down, taking out that one mortar is already such a huge win. More AA coming in to punish that Focke-Wulf 198 if it dares to come in too close again. Another Focke-Wulf 198 in the sky right now. Gepard's being brought in, not quite sure why. Maybe to support this Focke-Wulf 198 if there are enemy fighters. It comes out and comes to strafe. Well, against the Sherman it won't do that much. You really want to maybe strafe these AT guns. Those are the prime targets for the Focke-Wulf 198 strafes, because it will, depending on the AT gun of course, suppress them, maybe even kill them. Well, in a single kill in a single strafe is not likely, but definitely suppress them, especially if it's already under fire by a tank. Trailing smoke, but the Focke-Wulf 190 just not quite close enough for this A to take down. It is an extremely resilient plane, so it gets out, it is safe. He has lost the hill though. We didn't really see the Bogward. Oh, there we go. The Bogward did explode, and it took quite some of these Nueva with it. Not the greatest explosion. If you want to see the greatest explosion, you can look at the clips on my Twitch where I got destroyed by a Bogward coming out of the smoke and killing basically my entire starting deployment. But I guess this is good value, because how much is a Bogward? Like 25 points or something? That's pretty good value to kill almost all of these Nueva here and suppress them heavily. Flamers being reinforced. Finzent still up 13-11. Not the commanding 16-8 that we saw right in the start, but these positions do not look very secure. These Panzers are a little bit freaked out already. Panther now falling back. That will give Finzent's AT guns and maybe also the Shermans, if there are still any alive. No, they're all dead. The opportunity to side shot again. But Yabo has managed to secure his side of this central ridgeline again, which is very crucial for him if he wants to stay in this game and make use of his C-phase cards. Panzergrants being inserted very aggressively into this front line. Suppress using the bazooka to take out the SDKFZ. A little bit lucky by Yabo that he did not lose that earlier when it was passing by the bazooka infantry. Panzergrants holding French infantry at bay at a distance. Panzergrants, of course, extremely capable infantry units at a distance, basically unmatched. But in close quarter combats, like here against the Sappers, when they're eating a grenade, they can also die fairly quickly. This time winning out though. Nice. Panzer IV has gone down, Panther has gone down. The Panther was already retreating, so I'm guessing that this AT gun took the shot. Yeah, this one doesn't have line of sight, so it must have been this one. Both of the Panzer IVs going down, actually. Very interesting right there. Not quite sure how that went down, but now Finzent has solidified this hill. I don't really see a way to take that out right now anymore. But yeah, actually the position of Yabo here is very fragile still, and Finzent could abuse that once more to take this hill out and solidify his position in the north. He's up to 14-10 again. Of course, he has lost one flag in the south. He's bringing out the Obusier, and here we can see that unit in action. It has the 75mm HE shell, and as I said before, a 25-point unit that is armored is just in general not such a bad deal. Some people really like to get it out no matter what with the blinded decks. Even more AA here now, a GMC Bofors, and the Focke-Wulf 190 comes in very close. I think that might go down this time actually. Oh, it's trailing smoke already. Bofors still firing. Yes, it goes down. That was just too much, even for the mighty Focke-Wulf 190 A8. Panzer IVs here getting engaged by the packs. Now that is what I was talking about when I said he should bring them in here, because here you can kill the tanks even as they approach from the city. They both go down. 60mm mortar combined with the AT gun just wipes that tank force out, and now this looks very grim, I would say, because these half-tracks are moving in. On the other hand, there are some Gepards here, there is a Panzer IV here, so Finzent needs to make sure that he doesn't just sacrifice these pointlessly. In the city, both sides have traded out quite a bit. More Panzers coming in, more Shermans coming in, although the Shermans will be here first, and that might yield devastating effects. Very strong push potential for Finzent here. 3 Shermans in the town now, and no anti-tank capability for Yabo. As of now, these Panzer IVs are rushing in. They're coming in and hoping to contain the Sherman threat. Panther D up on the hill in the back as well, still a potential weapon against the Shermans. Pioneers have gone down. This tank has gone down to the AT gun on the other side, if I saw that correctly. And now Finzent is back to the 59 that he so enjoys. The double tick, 8 minutes 50 seconds on the clock for Yabo. And he calls it GG. The challenger takes the second game. We have a series on our hand, ladies and gentlemen. Finzent equalizes to a 1-1 in a very good and action-packed back and forth game. Although Finzent was always a little bit in control of that game, it felt like Yabo also had opportunities, but in any case it was a very action-packed game. We see the KD actually pretty well in favor of Finzent for a 14-minute game. And we can see, I mean, that was just, that opening deployment was very bold, but very, very successful. Oh, we see, look at this anti-tank gun. Oh my god, it killed a Panther and 3 Panzer IVs. Wow, wow. Also very successful M8 here. Oh. Well, that was game 2. If you liked it, why don't you subscribe? Why don't you like this video? And we shall see each other for game 3 of this series.